Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring Dzerzhinsky. I'm going to go with Hinsky in our bottom left corner, playing our red Terran, and in the top right we have CombatEX, our blue Protoss. Everybody knows CombatEX. He is a Grandmasters, I believe, at the moment. A very good player. He's just good. He's just good. And everybody knows him, everybody loves him, and all that shenaniganry. But Hinsky, relatively unknown compared to CombatEX. However, he's got a fantastic build order that he wants to show off today, combining some Raven harass into a full-on mech push. It's kind of popular nowadays, what with the whole harassment afforded by the Banshees, but then it's kind of difficult to transition properly into that mech. It's kind of difficult to get out all the timings because it requires two different types of unit producing structures. Difficult to balance the harassment with the in-game Doom push. And so Hinsky believes he's got that timing down pat, and I've looked at the replay and it definitely looks solid. So we're going to be paying close attention to what he does pretty much exclusively. CombatEX is a great player, and I'd love to see all that he does, but the purpose of this replay is to talk about Hinsky, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Phase 1 is to complete your wall off. You really want to get your supply depots down, and your barracks. Also going to throw down a supply depot just to the north of your barracks to complete the wall off. You don't have to finish it right away. A lot of players will just start it and then cancel the SCV on the production to leave the carcass there and go about your business, and then allowing the SCV building the barracks to complete that. And that can serve twofold. One is to, prevent any scouting from the probe, and it also hides your gas, which sounds like it's the exact same thing, but it's kind of separate. You can hide your gas from Zerg in a completely different way. You want to get out more scouting Marines on the outskirts of your base, and it's something to keep in mind for this, because a properly scouted early gas from Terran can kind of key in your opponent that you might be going to Banshee harass, and that's something that you want to avoid, because the Banshee harassment does only one thing, and it buys you time to get out the unit composition that you want later on. And that's the purpose of that Banshee harass. And if you don't succeed in doing that, then your whole build kind of falls apart. So pay close attention to the building placement, timing of it. It was a 10 supply and then immediately into a barracks, and then as soon as he got the money, he threw down another supply depot, even though he didn't quite need the supply. Still doesn't. One gas off of the single geyser, straight to the command center. Soon we will see a factory thrown down. Right now it's just banking that gas, banking that money. Looks like a pause, please. On the other side of things, CombatEX is just going for a little bit of a faster expo against Terran. Not 100% common. One gate, one forge, just the photon cannon on the low ground. So kind of unorthodox, but I'm sure you guys have seen a fast expansion out of Protoss. Maybe not against Terran so much, but this build doesn't exclusively rely upon that. You'll see that it's basically a one Rax fast expand. He'll throw down the bunker on the low ground and get out a handful of units to help defend against that. But that early gas that was grabbed is because of this factory down the bottom left corner. And it's generally done whenever the command center is started. You don't want to seem like you're going for a one-based build. You don't want to appear to be fishy, because then Protoss might rush along and get an observer out and scout what you're doing, and how that observer can really hurt whenever you have some cloaked Banshees out on the field early on. So right now, all CombatEX sees is that he has a fast expanding Terran, and so he can fast expand also. But he doesn't know that both gas have been grabbed. I don't even think he's aware that a single one has been grabbed, and he does not know that the factory and starport placed down in the bottom left corner are beginning to work on a tech lab with a starport right on top of it, and that just absolutely screams Banshee. But the Zealots that's coming out on the field right now, as well as followed by a probe to throw down probably epoxy pylon, won't be able to get past the bunker, and even if they did, the wall off is nice and tight. All he's going to see is that fast expansion, so he'll know that whatever timing is coming out of Hinsky is going to be slightly delayed. Factory immediately leaving whenever the tech lab is done. The starport will immediately take advantage of that, and with so much gas already banked up, Cloak Tech and Banshees can begin to be made from this starport almost instantly. There goes the Cloak, there goes the Banshee, and it is immediately rallied. Where does he rally it? Oh, wow. All the way over to the natural to start picking at the probe line there. this map, Daybreak, is it's pretty nice because of all the open areas where you can hide the Banshees, but Banshees are pretty fast. So unless there's a specific anti-air out on the field, Phoenixes, or some nice detection from the robotics facility to prevent with the stalkers on the ground, you don't have to worry too much about the Banshees being caught out in the open. They can readjust their positioning very, very quickly. This is a bit of a delicate time for Hinsky because he still only has that one barracks out on the field. The factory has yet to begin to produce Thors. It's waiting for the armory, which is just now being started. So it is a bit delicate just now. But the Banshee has, finished. It's going to be pushing out soon. So hopefully this Banshee will keep CombatEX contained and buy Hinsky enough time to start that Thor production. And once that Thor production gets swung out into full swing, once we can see a couple more ground-hitting units out on the field, Hinsky's going to be in a very, very defensible position in very short order. It looks like CombatEX is going to be playing a little bit more passive. He's getting out a third. Hinsky is going to bypass that just because the targets he wants are these probes. He really wants to hit these probes very quickly. Cloak is done, I believe. It is done. Immediately the robotics facility starts producing an observer, but it's too late. There's no observer in the area. Warp gate is done, but no stalkers there to do any damage. Oh, wow. An observer was already out on the field, but again, no anti-air in the area until the stalkers get warped in. So that's a little bit of a miscue there by Hinsky, being a little bit more aggressive than he needed to be with the Banshee, but he's got another starport already cranking out units. I believe that Raven comes on the back of another Banshee, which is moving off into the north side of thing. Raven's going to, coagulate down in the bottom corner in the Natural Expo. He's got a factory. He's got another factory beginning to work on those Thors now that the armory is done. Also note that the armory is working on Terran Vehicle Plating 1. Another starport is being added. Another factory is being added back at home. Get the unit producing right up. And this is basically the money number that you want. 2 starports, 2 factories, because you kind of want an even number of Banshees and Thors. And the longer you can keep alive your Banshees, the better off you'll be, because that in push will benefit only from the additional units in the area. That Raven's going to help with denying this sort of scouting. One-hit kill from the Thor on that observer, which is fantastic, because every single one of those that dies makes it so that the Banshees are just that more effective with their cloak. And just darting in and out with those Banshees will really keep CombatEX contained in his home base, and also it'll force him to waste money on these static defenses, as well as additional observers if any of them get suicided into the Thor line. One of them being held back with a couple of stalkers. And I think CombatEX would really want to be poking at the front door, finding out exactly where these Thors are coming from and what sort of infrastructure Hinsky has at home. Again, 2 starports now being exclusively spent on making Banshees. The 3 factories, one of them staying silent, or 2 factories, one of them staying silent, but with 3 barracks on the back. The barracks aren't going to be used too much in the coming push. Marines are more of a filler unit, something that you can spend if you have excess minerals. With mules, that's pretty common, that you have more minerals than you have with gas, and both Banshees and Thors are pretty gas heavy. So you'll usually have a couple of spare minerals, but don't go overboard with the barracks production. The main units you want to get out are the Thors and the Banshees. And it looks like this is interesting from Hinsky. He's got 1 Banshee out on the field, but he's got several more at home. Or just, 2 more at home. And they could be going out and doing harassment too, but you really want to be very cost effective. If you're going to do that, make sure you keep them bundled up all together, because 3 Banshees together is much better than 3 Banshees hitting 3 different probe lines at one time, because with that number, I think it's 2 of them can one-shot a probe. And with 3, it's just going to be even more effective. They could actually afford to straight up engage these stalkers and then decimate this probe line. And I think that's what Hinsky's going to be doing. So he's got his 3 Banshees moving into the north side. Back at home, 4 Thors out with that Raven up top. And again, the factories and the starports are just continually churning out. We can see 2 by 2 for the production of Thors and Banshees. And right now, CombatEX is a bit behind. His harvester count is significantly lower than Hinsky's, and he's not capable of mining off of 1 mineral line at a time. Wherever the Banshees make their presence known, they can absolutely stop all production in that mineral line for an extended period of time. CombatEX has to continually readjust the location of his stalkers and has to spend a bunch of money on those stalkers, as opposed to the units that he really wants out. You could even force somebody to get out a Stargate, maybe produce a Void Ray to counter those Banshees, but again, that's just more money that's being spent away from the unit composition that's going to help against the Thors. We can see a bunch of Immortals are out for CombatEX, and those will be very effective against those Thors. They do quite a lot of extra damage, but with so many extra SCVs, they're going to be repairing that mech army, and the Immortals aren't going to be able to overcome the absolute DPS. I mean, basically the Thor count and the Immortal count pretty much even. A couple more for the Immortals, but that's going to be offset by the production of Banshees. Banshees are now done with their harassment, all three of them coming back. They're going to get quickly repaired by the SCVs, and it looks like Hinsky is going to be moving out, even throwing in a Viking for good measure. As far as anti-air goes, I don't know if that's a misclick or if that's something that he actually wants. Even getting the 250mm strike cannons for the Thors, a nice stunning ground unit that really allows you to spin down some extra energy. I've actually seen feedback used on Thors. It is rather effective. I mean, they've been sitting out. Some of these have been sitting out long enough that they have maximum energy, and that's half their health. So that's rather damaging. Also, what else is rather damaging is the sheer number of Banshees out on the field. 8 for 8. On the Thor and Banshee count, and they outnumber the Immortals. So CombatEX is going to be in for a very rough fight. He's had a hell of a time trying to defend against that harassment, which is really what this build is about. It's all about harassment and keeping your Banshees alive so that they can do an in-game death push with an army that has been created by an infrastructure that's not stunted by any form of harassment, keeping Protoss contained, because Protoss's inability to move fast enough to deny that sort of harassment from the Banshees can really be something that you abuse. Hinsky's moving out exactly 200 supply. A handful of Banshees still being produced, and as they finish up, they'll rally straight into this force. It looks like he's going to be hitting at the natural. I don't know what his line of reasoning for the natural is rather than the third. It'll be interesting. You guys should totally read the build order that goes along with this. He's going to print that out and post it to All Things Terran, overextending a little bit with the Thors, but that was just basically to realize how big CombatEX's army is. Pay attention to all of the Immortals, and also that the Thors are using their millimeter cannon in different areas, not trying to stack up the damage but spread out the stunning. This is a really cost-effective fight, actually. Look at the resources lost is basically 4-1. In the favor of Hinsky. All of a sudden, all of the Immortals are dead with the exception of one, and now none. The Stalkers are left alone to deal with so many Banshees just throwing down DPS. Banshee's DPS is just second to none. It's so fast and it's so much damage, and then the Thors can absolutely soak up anything that you throw at them. And then with the SCVs behind, not really getting hit by any AoE damage, they do so much damage. The Thors can just take so much damage is basically what I'm saying. And just like that, we had a 200 army from Terran versus a 160 army from Protoss. Protoss was at the top. We had a nice point defense drone soaking up a lot of damage from the Raven, just one more insult to injury. And then you also had Hinsky basically doing a Doom push, but on the back of it grabbing his third, so that if things went south, he wouldn't be out of this game. He's definitely got a very strong infrastructure back up at home. And this is not against the schmuck. CombatEX is Grand Masters. Hinsky, I believe, is 21 Masters. So both players are very good, but it just goes to show you that if you've got a wicked awesome build, you can beat a guy who's a league up from you. Hey guys, that's it for me. You should read the build order that's going to be posted with this, probably in the comment section, maybe in the description if I can get it before I post this video. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Big and Scary.